What's up guys, and welcome to another tutorial from Code Review. Today we will talk about testing in React applications with Jest and Enzyme. Now if you don't know Jest or Enzyme, I will put a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe and share, it will be appreciated. Welcome again. So I have a Create React app. I just created a to-dos app where I can check and delete the to-do. Also I can add a new to-do. I can also edit the to-dos. So readme, and it comes to readme. So we will go through installation first. So we will first install these packages. So Jest Enzyme, Enzyme Adapter, React 16, and Enzyme to JSON. Enzyme to JSON used for the snapshots. My packages have installed. I will go now to package.json and then write the configuration for Jest. So I will say Jest. It's an object where I can use root directory, roots as an array, and then I put root directory and then just see the files inside the source files. Now for the second we will be the setup files after environment. This is where the configuration of enzyme will goes, and then I will use the root directory, and inside my source I will put this one and set up maybe test, or you know what, I don't like to use inside this one. I will use config and then call it setup test.js. So it will goes to this one as the same as in the documentation what it says. Also for a snapshot I will use my configuration here as a snapshot serializer. So this will take the snapshot from enzyme to JSON, so I don't need to use the package every time inside my test files to create a snapshot from that file. Now let's go to make config file, and then inside my config I need to make this file, and here I will use enzyme configuration, which is enzyme, and also enzyme adapter 16. Here I will use the class adapter, and here I will use the configure, and in the end I will say okay, configure adapter is new adapter. That's it for configuration for Jest and Enzyme. Now all what you need to do is testing out. So I will use test, and let's see what's gonna say. It says like there is no test file. That's true because we didn't create any test file. Now the convention here to use the same name as the component name and make another file with the test extension, or maybe with the spec extension is the same. Just will understood also the both of files. So I will say use test, and then I will say test, sorry it's not this one, test in here. So I have just a code snippets to use testing, and this one it's goes for input field. So what we do usually is, let's get this out. So what we do usually is importing React, and then the shallow from enzyme, and then the component self, and then we have a sort of props, and then you can pass the props here, the default props, and then you use it in every wrapper instead of passing them in every test like here. And then use a snapshot, and yeah, for the first test it should be always like this, and using snapshot then you can understood the behavior of your component. Now let's test this out. So open terminal and then yarn test. Okay, so if you encounter this kind of problem, because it says the file, it sees there is no Babel config for it, so we need Babel config for it. What you can do is add Babel RC, and then here we say presets, where I can use add Babel React, and also add Babel environment. So this is the packages that we need inside your Babel, so you need to install it. I think I have installed these, so I say yarn add Babel preset environment, and also yarn add Babel preset React. Then let's try this again. And voila. So this will write your first snapshot of the class, and as you can see, you can see the coverage that you need to do. And also if you see, this is the snapshot, and then this is the file. This comes from enzyme to JSON. It will parse your component to a snapshot as a string, and you can follow how your snapshot will gonna be rendered inside your application. Now that's the first one. Second one, you can also follow the coverage, because Jest an enzyme will generate the coverage for you. So you can go to coverage and look LCOV report and open the index.html, and if you open this in the default browser, you can see your component, and this is generated by Istanbul packages. So you can see where your component should be covered, like here and here. So this is very useful. Then you can see also how many coverage that you have. This is very handy when it comes to cover all the component situations, or all the components render code inside it. That's it. So if I back, now I will see it says like in the 12. So in the line 12, in the line 13, and the line 16. So I'll go to my component here. Come on. Yes. Open this one. So in the line 13, I have on submit. And in the line 12, also for the E prevent default, and for the line 16. So this is the kind of triggers that you always will face it in your any application. Props that's sent in. So I will fill the props in. So for this one, you just say just is a function. So you don't need to send the real function from it. It will mark the function for you, and then you will say the value, and the value you can say anything, because it expects something from one of the to-dos, the value. So let's say to do maybe, and also I have onChange. And onChange is also just a function for this. Let's make it nicer, like this. Now if I run the test, my snapshot will be failed, Why? Because there is something changed in my component, and it will say, okay, there is too much snapshot is not the same because the value now is to do. So this is very handy. And also I don't like that every time we do a yarn test, I will put it in the package JSON, so where I can use this one as watch, and also run the test again. So this will always still and running and watching the component renders. Now if you need to update your snapshot, you just hit the U, and then it will update your snapshot with the latest update. I will put this here, and then let's go to the next test. So let's try to write the second test for line 12. Actually, for line 12 and 13, they are the same, because any function inside your render or inside your component, it will be, and it returns something, or maybe is not just a function, then you need to test it. So I will say triggers here, and then I will say on submit. We'll use test. It should submit form. Now for the should, this one, this is also kind of like a convention inside your testing, that you will say, okay, it should do something. Here I will use expect. This is just something that you need to know, that for the readers, for anyone who to read the code, it will be easier to know, like, okay, there is just one expect in this test, and if there is two expect, then the test will be fail. I will make a wrapper again, and then shallow, and then input field, and then pass my props, and then I will expect on submit to have been called. Now you can enable the or install extension to see the expect functions suggestions for that. For the next text, which is the line 13 and 12, where I can call the onSubmit function on the form. So it says that props onSubmit to have been called, so it's not called because we didn't call it. So we need to execute the function before the expectation. So what we do need to do is wrapper.find. Now with find, you can find any component inside it with a selector, with any selector. Like you can use it with the form, you can use it with an ID form, also you can use it with a class form, and you can use also with a component. So let's say that you have a title component inside it, something like this. So what I'm gonna do is find form, and then submit. I cannot do submit, so I do simulate. So here in Jest you do simulate, and the type of simulate is submit, and then you pass an object in it. This object actually is the event that you sent, and then you just say per-event default. It's just a function from Jest. So this is the call, and then as you can see that my test is passed because I call the submit on this one, and I expect a props on submit, which is I send it from here to have been called. That's one. The next one is 16. Let's see what 16 is. So the 16 on change. On change is the same as on submit, so what you need to do is just copy this one and then just change this to on change, and then you say okay, find me the form. No, find me the input this time, and that simulate is type of change, and inside this object you send the event on change trigger. So what you can do is here you send an object and then you say target and then value. Let's say this is my value, which is any text, and it will pass the value to here, and then I'm expecting the on change to have been called, and that's true because it's have been called with the value. Now you can say to have been called with and pass the value in, and that's also true because you're expecting the on change to have been called with the value that you pass from the props. So that's it for input field components. Go and try to test the item component. So make a new file with the same name and also with my extension, and then use the extension for this, and they say item. So I put item. I also make it bigger for you guys. That's also better. And now it's from the first time it start to complaining that okay, item is completed, is not cannot read it of undefined. Why? Because we didn't send anything to our item. So we click here, open the item here again, and then let's see what's gonna item. So as and if you use a flow or maybe for a TypeScript, you can define the type of this item here, then it will be really easier for a tester, for the reader also. So we know already that the item, it comes with the completed, and also it comes with, so you have completed and also title, and sure that it has an ID. So what you're gonna do is send the item as a prop with ID of 1, as title is new to do, and then completed is true. So from the first time it starts a snapshot to matching, and then as you can see that there is a new snapshot. It comes, if completed, then it comes orange. So this is the changes that I have made, and also there is a new div, and this is a new div because I did some checking. So if completed, then it will do the new div, otherwise nothing. So this is for a snapshot, and it's good practice, and it is very important to watch the snapshot changes before you update it, because otherwise the test will lose its value. So I will update it. Now I will have full coverage. No anything you need to do for this, nothing more. So because I have, now you can see all files input field, and then test passed, and as you can see it, all the files. Do I need to do something more? I will check. So for the class names, it comes with a snapshot, so you don't need to check if the class names exist or not. Also for the styling, all the styling class names styling, it will go with the snapshot as we have seen already. And for the title, if I change the title with, let's say this is to do with T, then the snapshot will fail, like there is a new changes, and the changes is small and then T. Back to capital T, and then it passed. One thing more, maybe you need to think about it, like what if the completed is false? then my snapshot will fail because this div component will not be rendered, so it will be deleted. But there is one thing you need to do. Even if you have full coverage, you need to think about the cases that you need to handle. Like for this one, it will be first case if completed or not completed, because if completed, then it will render this one. If not, it will render empty string. That's really important. And also there is one case also, even if you have full coverage for onClick, you need to make sure that the onClick, it should be clicked, otherwise there is no value for your test. So I will use false this one because it always comes false, and then I will send the other props to it where I can say onClick. It's just function, it's not just a function. On delete, and also on edit. So this is the full props that I have sent here. Now my snapshot will be failed again because there is more than a props that send it, as you can see. Now we update it to the last one. Now what I can do is update, make another snapshot without the item completed. So what I can do is item, you can take this one. So a props.item where the completed is true. So this is another snapshot where the completed is true, and as you can see, I have completed here. So this is not the same as this snapshot. This is without completed, this is with completed. Maybe you can call this one match snapshot default snapshot with item completed. Completed. So as like this, snapshot is absolute, yes. There is a new one to remove it, yes, remove it, I don't need it, the other one. Now if the item is completed, then there is a new click, and the onClick, it should have been called. Now we will go to make another testing for items, where I can say okay, new save, and then best items, and then save. Test is this one, and okay, items like this one. From the beginning, it should it will fail for the snapshot because I think we don't have that much. Yes, we don't have that items. So what we can do is go to this one, open it again here, and then in the props I will send an array of items. So as we know, every item has an ID, title, and also completed. And for the title is, I will call it in first to do. Now my snapshot will fail for the first to do because it's expecting the latest to do without text. Now it gets some to do, some text in it. And yeah, I think that's it for this one. It just needs a snapshot. You don't need to do all the yeah, actually you need to do, because this one is a function and it returns something with index. So what we need to do is making a test for on click, on delete, and on edit. First we do on click, on delete, sorry, just function, on edit, just a function, on click also. So this is my props, the snapshot, it's okay with it. Now let's do the triggers. Triggers test, it should trigger on click. Now this one is not right. Triggers on click, and then expect assertion 1, and then const wrapper is shallow or items, where I can send the props in it. Now it expects something, so I will expect the props dot on click to have been called with index. So I need to trigger the call for on click for this item. What I can do is say wrapper dot find me an item. As I said, this find, it's find any component, class names, is a CSS selector, anything, and then I will go to first. Why first? Because I don't, in my array I have just one element here, so that's why. And then I click a prop, and my prop is on a click. So we don't use simulate here because it's a prop. That's saying that the item is not the an HTML element. And then inside your click, you execute this one without nothing, and then you expect an on click to have been called with index. Which index? The index that 0. Why? Because I have just one item. Now what you can do, actually, there is another prop here, and then another function. I can use index here, and then here use the index same, and const index is like this is better. That also will work, and also it is the same for other delete and edit. So you just you can just copy this, or maybe you can put this as a 3, and then every time you call the wrapper, which the correct prop, and execute it, and then expecting to have been called with the same index. That's it for items. Let's go for the app. Now for the app, we have a lot of things to do. I think it is the most important things. My app inside my containers, because usually the app is the container, but just for note, this one inside my containers, usually we don't test the container. Why? Because the container, where the logic behind it, and the container is maybe it's connected with the Redux or something, any context, so we don't test the container. But because in my app project here I don't use any context, so I can test this out as the same as the component. But just to let you know, usually the component will not be tested, the container, sorry. So I will go copy again, and then make a new, and then use the same, and this one comes from app component. So let me open this one again here, and let's see what's gonna have been. So first of all, it will say there is a state. Let's say state is like this. So I don't know if this is the first time I see talking about a state. I think I need to do the state is not like this, because Babel config will not handle these files. So what I can do is constructor, and this the props and super props. This is the classic way, and this state is equal to this one. So the Babel that doesn't have any config for transformation, the class component. So what we can do is installing this one. So this one had been installed, and then use it inside my Babel as a plugin. So plugins is an array, and then use string like this, and let's see. So that's good sign. Now it's received one call. It means that it sees the file, but there is no props in it. So that's true because I don't have any props, and we'll say it match snapshot. So what we can do is one assertion, one call. That's a really good point here. The component mount will fetch the to-dos, and then let's go to this one, and then in the fetch to-dos it will do the async call to fetch the to-dos, and then assign it to the to-dos. So what we can do here is fetch is not defined. So that in Jest it doesn't understand, because Jest is a rendering DOM, not DOM, a fake browser, and the fetch is not defined in that fake browser. So what you can do to handle this problem, so to solve the problem of that fetch is not exist in the node, so what we need to do is install an external library for node fetch, and then import it as fetch in my component. And that's one of the reasons that I have said that the containers will not be tested, because I'm using fetch here. So usually you don't use fetch inside your component, you do it in the Redux or via another context. So just for this project reason, I use this fetch here. So now fetch is just an external library. Just will see this library and it will use it, and then I don't even need to set a state in it, because here component.mount will be rendered, will be called, and then it will call the fetch to-dos, and fetch to-dos will call the fetch, and then it will set a state to the to-dos. So for now I have this one, yarn test, and this is my normal state for this component, where I can use, for now it's called the component, it's called the component mount. It will match the snapshot that it will set a state. So what we need to do is, first you can check these lines out for like line by line and then solve them, but what I will do always is go and see the snapshot that I have used, and it will say it's an array, so it's an empty array, it's an on a click, and the value is like this, and on delete like this, and on edit like this. So this is really handy sometimes. And what I can do is go to, first I will go to the fetching. So no edit, no on clear, no on click, no on delete. All what I would do is see is the fetching return to do's or not. So what I can do is copy this, make another snapshot. Sorry for that, this is an issue in VS Code. So what I can do is maybe with state, and then so with state, or maybe with items, sorry, this. And now you have these, and then you expect wrapper to match snapshot. That's true, but can I see the wrapper state to do's? So you can easily see the console look and then get the state by state and then the name of it. So this one, it gets 0. That's true because there is a delay until the component mount will be triggered. But what I can do is wrapper.state. So this will not be snapshot anymore. And then get the to-dos. And then to equal put an array in it here. So this will say wrapper to-dos. Let's check. I have to-dos of set state. So wrapper to-dos to equal to an empty array. Why this is complaining? I didn't save it. Oh, sorry for that. So all the snapshot is equal to this one. Now we'll go to the next step where we can do the on change, do the on click, on delete, and on edit. So normally for these guys, it's just a logic. You just can test them by the component props or by getting the instance self. So what you can do is you can say easily wrapper dot instance dot on click, and then send the index that you want, and after that you're expecting your wrapper, like let's say so on click it will do the index and it will set the state. And what you expect in wrapper dot set state to do's, it's an array. So what you can do is just check if this array with this index is completed or not. So this one here, so is it completed or not? So it will take this condition and it will revert it to another condition. So just this is just an example of one of the situations here. You don't need to do that, but just example. Return to my list. Sorry for that. And here to wrapper to the state to do's. I have done some more tests for the container app.js where I can use where I have full coverage for all the files and all the cases. So check below the description for the link for the GitHub, and I will push the code there, and then you can check this out. In the end, thank you for watching and see you next time.